Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Calgary Stampeders game day post. We're up to week number 7 in the 2026 CFL Regular season, as let's do it again, as the Calgary Stampeders will be taking on the Montreal Alouettes, but this time the stage will be set here in Calgary at McMahon Stadium. It'll be on Saturday, July the 18th. It'll be a 2 p.m. mountain kickoff, and they're forecasting it's going to be 31 degrees, so it's going to be a hot one in the stands for this one. Be interested to see how high BS on the east side, but I've moved down, but not going to really anticipate, at least in terms of on the field, nothing too hot, as in there was no major incidents. I mean, there was a little incident that Mike Awi had a head hit to Vernon Jr. got fined on, but no extraordinary stories that I don't anticipate will carry forward into this week. But I think once again it will be another tough one for the Calgary Stampeders, as they lost 37-30 last week in Montreal, and now that they have lost 9 of their last 10 visits to Montreal, well, I actually recently looked it up that Montreal is 2-1 the last 3 visits they've been to McMahon Stadium, as last year we lost on a last-minute field goal, and then the year before in 2024, the Calgary Stampeders and Montreal Alouettes actually tied. So no one won that game. And then in 2023, that was the year that Calgary was 6-12, but still made the playoffs. Did not beat Montreal that season. So you got to go back to 2022. In the first week of that season, the Calgary Stampeders were the last time they've won against Montreal here in Calgary. I guess you can also say the last time they've beaten Montreal is Montreal right now. They are 4-1, first in the East Division coming in this one, and Calgary 2-3 are fourth right now in the West Division. And I'm still going to say we're going to have another show with the Philpots. Tyson definitely had the better over Jalen last week. Gotta wonder how Corey feels, the father who played for the Lions and the Blue Bombers. But and then of course another quarterback duel with Vernon Jr. and Davis Alexander. But I'm going to say if Calgary is going to be successful in finishing off and at least split with Montreal in the regular season, they're going to have a better start at the beginning. Felt like last week they also got too many second longs and took some bad penalties. I mean, they made it interesting and were in position that they were knocking on the door to potentially get a touchdown, but it was a deflected pass on a third down play when they got into the 25-yard of the Montreal Alouettes territory. But it didn't feel like Calgary was having their day last Saturday. But we'll see how things will go this week in Calgary. There's no major injuries that took part from last week to this week. Got a fairly same lineup. I believe it was Markel Lee that he had a rough week and not feeling well. I think he's a game time decision about playing, but there's really not too many lineup changes to look for this game for the Calgary Stampeders. It's can they finally find a way to navigate around the defense of the Montreal Alouettes, limit the big plays, and will the 32-degree weather play a role in this one, as it's going to be a hot one. And it's almost up there with one game a couple years ago. I believe it was the BC Lions in 2024 was the Wally Buono Wall of Fame game that I recall. It was a 5 p.m. kickoff, and it was still 32 degrees at kickoff. And I think of all the years that I've gone to games, I think that's the hottest one I've been to, and I'm going to say me personally, I draw the line at 35 degrees before I say it's hot, and thankfully it's drier out here in Western Canada, but we'll see how I can battle the elements in the stands with the heat, see how the players will go on with the heat, and, could be in West with the home crowd at Calgary, could that maybe give Calgary an edge, because the cross-country travel does always seem to work against the road team with Montreal, because Montreal historically struggles when they go out west because of the cross-country travel, and that's probably another factor why Calgary seems to struggle in Montreal. But after this game, Calgary is going to have 3 straight on the road, because they definitely had a home-heavy schedule to start off the season, because this is already the 4th regular season game of the regular season. So the next home game for the Calgary Stampeders will not be until Thursday, August the 13th, where the Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the BC Lions, but keep it going at one game at a time. The next game for the Calgary Stampeders will be next Friday, which will be on Friday, July the 24th, as they'll be going to the Princess Auto Stadium to take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And that's a 6:30. That would be a 6:30 Mountain kickoff. All times I gave is Mountain, or I guess pretty soon I'm going to have to call it Alberta time, because Alberta's decided to be on permanent daylight time. But whatever the time is in Calgary, that's usually the times I give. And then I know that Calgary will have 2 games in Ontario, including August 1st. That would be Saturday, August 1st. They will be taking on the Hamilton Tiger-Cats in Hamilton, and I believe that game starts at 1 p.m. Mountain, and then they have a quick turnaround to play the Toronto Argonauts in Toronto on the Thursday. That would be, if my rough math is right, it will be Thursday, August the 6th, and I think that will be a 5 p.m. Mountain kickoff, and that would actually be Toronto's first home game of the season, because they'll be back at their confines in BMO Center. So Calgary, after this game, they're going to have 3 straight on the road. So hopefully they can make some hay at home, at least be 3-3 before going on that 3-game road trip, where they'll be going to Winnipeg, Toronto, Hamilton, and Toronto in that order before they come back here. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm still anticipating a tough game. Just Montreal looks like they're still a contender, and this is still a game that Calgary needs to keep pace with, because looking at the strength of schedule and the opponents in the West right now, it might be time to say the Elks are for real this year. And then Saskatchewan, they still look strong on defending their Grey Cup. And then Winnipeg is in flux with their situation with Zach Claros, but then they got Drew Brown back from Ottawa, and he performed admirably and led them to the win last week. So this is going to be another week. I feel Calgary needs to keep pace with a tough opponent, but this will also be, as the cliche say, the litmus test, measuring stick. We were able to hang with Montreal late last week, but it don't matter when the scoreboard has more points on the opposition than your team at the end of the final whistle. So anyway, to close out, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below. It's a game day post for the Calgary Stampeders, second of a back-to-back against the Alouettes, the Montreal, and Stampeders, the Calgary, at McMahon Stadium. So I just want to say, go Stamps go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.